Have you ever seen a moment so powerful that it silenced a billionaire's entire office? That's exactly what happened the day a poor janitor, wearing his faded blue uniform and holding a mop, greeted the billionaire's mother, not with words, but with his hands. The story began in the heart of New York City, inside the glass tower of Arden Enterprises, a billion-dollar company run by 32-year-old tech genius Ethan Arden. Ethan was known for his sharp business mind, cold personality, and zero tolerance for unproductive employees. He believed money fixed everything, that success was built on intelligence, not emotion. But that belief was about to be shattered. Every evening, when the executives left in their luxury cars, a quiet man named Jacob Miles arrived for his night shift. He was the janitor, kind, soft-spoken, and always smiling despite his worn shoes and tired eyes. To most people, he was invisible. But Jacob carried something special, a secret connection to silence. Years ago, Jacob had lost his only daughter, Lily, in a car accident. She had been deaf since birth, and Jacob had learned sign language to communicate with her. Every night after work, he'd sign to the stars, pretending she could still see him. It was his way of keeping her close. One Monday morning, the whole building buzzed with excitement. Ethan Arden's mother, Margaret, was visiting the office for the first time in years. Margaret Arden, once a celebrated pianist, had gone deaf after a severe illness. Since then, she lived in a quiet world, surrounded by people who didn't understand her silence, not even her son. When Margaret entered the office, everyone stood stiffly, unsure how to greet her. Ethan introduced his team, but his mother only smiled politely, reading lips as best she could. Ethan didn't notice the sadness in her eyes, he was too focused on impressing his investors. Hours later, while the staff was leaving, Jacob entered with his mop bucket. Margaret was still there, sitting alone near the lobby window, her son busy in a meeting upstairs. She looked lost, watching people move their mouths without truly hearing them. Jacob hesitated, then gently approached. He smiled and signed, "Good evening, ma'am. Are you okay?" Margaret's eyes widened in shock. She froze, then slowly lifted her hands, replying in sign, "You know how to speak like this." Jacob nodded, smiling warmly. "My daughter was deaf. She taught me more about love than words ever could." For the first time that day, Margaret's face lit up. They began signing, fast, emotional, unstoppable. They talked about music, silence, loss, and how the world often forgets those who live in quiet. Tears filled her eyes as she signed. People talk so much, but they never really listen. You listened, without a single word. What neither of them knew was that Ethan had come downstairs, searching for his mother. He stopped midway when he saw the two of them, the billionaire's mother and the janitor, laughing silently, tears of joy glistening in their eyes. For a moment, Ethan didn't recognize his own mother. She looked alive again, free. Later that night, Margaret told Ethan what Jacob had done. She signed slowly, forcing her son to pay attention. "That man spoke to me with more heart than anyone here. You may run this empire, Ethan, but he understands what it means to truly connect." Ethan felt something shift deep inside him, a mix of shame and awe. The next morning, he found Jacob cleaning the hallway. For the first time, the billionaire greeted him, not with words, but in sign language. His movements were clumsy, but sincere. "Thank you, for giving my mother back her smile." Jacob's eyes softened. "You gave her the world, sir. I just reminded her it can still be kind." Word spread across the company. Some employees cried watching the two men, one in a tailored suit, the other with a mop, signing to each other in quiet respect. Ethan soon introduced a new company initiative called The Language of Silence, offering free sign language classes to all employees and sponsoring deaf community programs. But the most touching moment came a week later during a charity gala. Margaret stood before the crowd, signing her speech as Jacob interpreted beside her. When she finished, the entire room stood in silence before breaking into thunderous applause. Ethan walked to Jacob and hugged him, a rare sight that left even the media speechless. From that day, Ethan Arden wasn't just known as a billionaire CEO, he became known as the man who learned to listen. And Jacob, he continued his quiet work, smiling as always. But now, people saw him, truly saw him. His uniform didn't change, but his life did. He'd turned grief into grace, silence into connection, and a routine greeting into a moment that touched millions. So, if you've ever felt unseen or unheard, remember Jacob's story. Sometimes the most powerful voices don't speak, they sign. And maybe, that's what the world needs to learn again. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more stories that prove kindness still speaks the loudest, even in silence.